I was at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund this weekend. Here's a rundown of all the cool things I was able to try out while I was there. The big one is Assetto Corsa EVO. I've made a whole separate video on this, which I'll link in the top right and the description below if you want to see my thoughts on that. First up are some new products from VRS. They had a new wheelbase on display, which is their new 50Nm wheelbase that's positioned below their existing wheelbase in the ladder. They also had a new quick release along with this, which looks a lot like what you'll see on Simagic bases, for instance. They had the force feedback on this thing cranked up, and it certainly felt strong enough for 15Nm, but it didn't quite feel as detailed as the existing Pro wheelbase, which they also had set up on the booth. They didn't announce a price for this, but considering you can now buy the previous wheelbase at different torque levels, I assume it'll be somewhere between the 12 and 15Nm options. They also had a prototype of their upcoming new rim on display, which has a lot more features than the current one. They didn't give a price for that either, but the rep at the booth said it would be good news, so let's hope it's more appropriately priced than their current rim. Next up is the new Aries wheelbase from Conspit and the 290GP Formula Rim to go with it. This felt quite nice. The wheelbase itself felt pretty detailed, pretty nice, and I actually really like this Formula Rim. If you can tell from the video, some of the buttons are sort of angled towards you. You see the ones on the left angled away from the camera, which actually makes them really easy to press and makes everything really ergonomic. There's a couple of thumb encoders on each side along with the buttons, so I actually really like using that, and yeah, something I'm considering personally that I might buy in the future. Simucube had an ultimate rig setup, and this, as you can see, has everything. It's got the active pedals, which was my first time using those. It's got VR, it's got motion. Really impressive experience. Belt tension is all of that, and yeah, honestly, just what an immersive experience, and you know, what if scenario for a lot of us. A bit much maybe for what most people ever need, but yeah, this was a lot of fun, and the active pedals are really quite something. The SimRep Cosworth wheel was here. This is a replica of what Cosworth make for the IndyCar and LMP2 and others. It's really cool, really light, but lacking some features compared to other sim racing wheels, especially when you consider the price of this, but if you like having the real deal, then this probably interests you. Asetek's new Formula wheel was here as well, and this seems to have everything that you would want. I know there's some questions on quality and the price tag, but you know, in terms of ergonomics and using this, it was really nice. Plenty of encoders, buttons, everything you need, and I liked the display that Asetek had made for it as well. It does support USB connection and SimHub though, so you can customize it and use it on other bases as well. Thrustmaster were there with a very enclosed booth, as you see here, which I didn't really like because, well, you can't just go and have a look easily. It was very hidden away. But that being said, when you go into it, it was actually a pretty good experience. First of all, in the sort of queue, they showed you they explained the cogging effect and lack thereof of this new wheels, supposedly. And then firstly, you had to play Gran Turismo on like a dirt track to feel all those bumps that it can apparently show you, and then ACC on PC for the other side of it. So overall, the experience was pretty cool. That being said though, the wheel was not so impressive. I mean, firstly, that the pedals that are bundled with it, you probably don't want to use them if you were to buy the wheelbase because they're very bad, honestly. There's no resistance at all on the pedals, certainly not load cell or anything like that. So that made the whole driving experience really hard because I couldn't really brake properly at all. And I feel like I didn't get the best out of the wheelbase because of that, because I'm not really driving properly, basically. But even then, you know, with all this talk of it being the next generation of direct drive, it didn't really live up to all that hype, quite frankly. I mean, it's not priced like a super high-end wheelbase, so it's not going to feel like one anyway, but it seems strange that they do all this talk about it being that great when it's not even the market they're going for, and it's kind of underwhelming as a result. It's overhyped by Thrustmaster, I feel. I tried RaceRoom's new drifting content, and maybe it's a skill issue, but I couldn't get a feel for this at all. I couldn't feel the ability to catch a slide in the car at all. I was spinning all over the place. But as you can see from the footage of this person driving that is not me, it's clearly possible to do. So possibly just skill issue on my end. Maybe I need more time with it. I mean, I'm not a drifter anyway, so what do I know? But yeah, my first impression was that I cannot get a feel for this at all. Hopefully it's better for other people. I liked this button box from BavarianSimTec. It's very compact, very thin, and there's a couple of rotaries on it as well as the buttons. The LEDs look really good. I was surprised this wasn't more expensive. It's not particularly cheap at 338 euros. Yes, there are cheaper button boxes out there, that's for sure, but this is just so compact and neat and professional that yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. I tried this Soelpec wheel, which is another one that impressed me. It has some neat features, like as you can see here, you can press the thumb encoders to change the function of them, so you can have multiple functions mapped to each one. So that's pretty neat, and I just like the overall layout and ergonomics of it. The design might not be everyone's cup of tea with the sort of angular nature of it, but I found it very ergonomic, and all the little features on it felt really handy and really neat, so something that I really enjoyed using. I tried the Mercedes F1 replica wheel from SimLab, which is another very expensive and very realistic wheel. This one, unlike the Cosworth, has obviously plenty of functions, a screen, many rotaries, buttons, knobs, all of this. But one way it's maybe not so practical is that it has one very realistic clutch paddle, but of course we can still use dual clutch in sim racing, so we're not limited like Formula 1 regulations, so perhaps less practical if you are doing Formula 1. You may need that dual clutch like in iRacing, and you won't get it with this wheel. That being said, it was very nice, very light, especially for what it is and what it looks like, so that was quite impressive. The base here is one of SimLab's upcoming DD bases. This was a 25 Nm version. I know they go up to 35 Nm as well, which I didn't get to try. It felt fine, nothing stand out, but you know, with all these high-end wheel bases, they all seem to feel good. I only had a little while on them, so no like shocking amazing feeling there from that, but it was good nonetheless. Let me know what you guys think on any of these items, or if you have any questions about my experiences with them while I was there. I also have a video on AC EVO, you can click that in the description below if you'd like to see my thoughts on that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.